I just want to start out this video with a strong apology because it has been a while since I've uploaded on YouTube, and I'm going to briefly get into it. If you keep up with me on TikTok, which you should because I'm very, very active on TikTok, or if you keep up with my lives or you follow me on other social media platforms, then you probably know this answer, but I'm going to briefly tell you why. YouTube has been very discouraging for me this year, and I know the reason for that is because TikTok has gotten so massive that everybody is into short form content. Everyone is on TikTok. Views are down for everybody, and my views have been extremely piss poor. My video where I shared with you guys about my teeth journey and my dentures did so well that it made me super optimistic, and I was super excited to film content. And the very next week, I uploaded a story time for you guys, and it is like one of the lowest viewed videos I've ever had. And you guys, that really just turned me off, and I just wasn't excited to post content on YouTube for a while. And I'm sorry about that, but YouTube is super special to me, so I will still continue to post content here. I just hope that we can get this channel where I want this channel to be. I also want to apologize for my couch. I'm trying to hide it with my body, but that's nearly impossible because Dolly has made it a point to scratch every bit of fake leather or whatever this material is off of this couch. That is why it's here in my filming room. But I just want to be really relaxed and chill, and we're going to tell a story time, old-fashioned story time. But before I get into it, be sure that you subscribe. We'll wait. Did you subscribe? We'll move on. Also, be sure that you are following me on TikTok at the MorganShay because I upload there pretty much every single day. Without any further ado, let's get into the story time, bitch. Okay, so this story happened very recent, and I waited to tell this story until the situation was over. If you have been following me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, then you know the basics, but I haven't told you guys the true story of what actually happened with this person. So, as most of you guys know, for the past year almost, I was working for a contract company. And this contract company had contracts at different hospitals and different places, and I was working at a hospital. And unfortunately, we lost the contract at the hospital that I was working at, but the contract company decided to keep me and like 3 other people, and I was going to be moving on to another hospital. I had 2 different options, and I chose this one in particular hospital, which we're going to keep unnamed. And I was excited. I was sad because I really liked my coworkers, and I would only be going to this new hospital with one coworker, which I love that coworker, but it was just sad to be separating from everybody else. So I was excited to at least have one person to be going with me. So we had decided to carpool, and because this other person is autistic and he just doesn't feel comfortable driving, also has seizures and just all kinds of things. So I was going to be picking him up and taking him home every day. And that kind of made me feel a little bit better as well because this is going to be a new place. We don't know anybody. So at least we had each other. And the very first day that we go to this hospital, the instant that we meet this man, not only are we switching from night shift to day shift, that in itself is a lot, but we had to be there at 6 a.m., which is really early considering that we used to get off work at 3 or 4 a.m. So this is like a huge readjustment. The moment that I met this manager, we're going to call him Ernie. The second that I met Ernie, I had very weird vibes. He was a dick. Off the rip, just really hateful. Asked where we parked, which we did park in the wrong parking area, so he had me move my car, which was fine. But as we're going through the hospital, he just, I don't know. My intuition and my gut, I had a very weird vibe about this guy from the beginning. Another important part for me to mention is with my contract, I was making $17 an hour. And where I'd been promoted, I was making over $20 an hour. That's an important part for me to preface. So we go in and we get clocked in and everything. And then he puts us with the person who's going to be training us. We'll call the girl who was training me Chrissy, and who my other coworker who came with me, who he was training with, was kind of irrelevant. So we get to training, and immediately I have now come to realize that has been put in trash, which essentially means that he has to walk the entire hospital all day and pull these extremely heavy bags of trash and take them to like the loading dock where the actual big trash disposal is. And I knew that he was going to hate that. So I was hoping that they were just like going to train him in other areas and they were starting him out there because this was just the first day. So as soon as I get with what we call her, Chrissy, as soon as I get with Chrissy, she's really nice, but she's asking me a lot of questions about the contract company I work for, which I thought was weird because I thought that everybody who worked there were part of this contract company. So when she asked me, how much do you make per hour? I said, well, I make what your supervisors make because I was a supervisor at my last hospital. And she was like, oh, okay. And apparently had told the person that he was working with, training with, how much he made per hour. The person that he was training with was a supervisor. And that supervisor then informed me that was making more than him. So we go to break and I come back and meet this girl and she immediately is like, do you make more than $17 an hour? And I was like, yeah, because at this point I'm thinking we're all part of this same contract company. I have no idea that they're not part of the contract company. So I said, yeah, but I really don't want to like discuss my pay with anybody or anything like that. And she was like, yeah, oh, okay. So then a couple hours later, the manager, the weird guy, Ernie, he comes and pulls me aside. And keep in mind, I'm in the middle of cleaning with Chrissy. Like we're in the middle of cleaning this doctor's lounge. He won't even let me like tell her that I'm stepping away or anything. He's like, no, just come with me. She's got it. I was like, oh, okay. And weird vibes. He's very weird. I don't know how to explain it aside from he's just very, very bizarre. He's a very bizarre person. And he pulls me in the office and he was like, we do not discuss our pay with anyone here. And I said, oh, well, she approached me and asked. I didn't know that they weren't part of. And I explained to him exactly what I told her, that I didn't say exactly what I made, but I did say that I make what the supervisors make because that's what I made at my last job. And at that point, I didn't know that they weren't with. And he was like, yeah, no one here works except for you and Magnus. And this manager guy, Ernie works for. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then he starts to talk about my pay. And he's like, so we aren't going to be able to get you anywhere close to that. And I was like, what are you talking about? I work for, so my pay is under. And he was like, oh, well, we're going to bring you on with the hospital. And that was very weird to me because I was thinking like, why are you wanting to bring me onto the hospital if you work for this contract company? And I was like, oh no, like, I already have my benefits and stuff like through the contract company. I would rather stay with contract company. And when he introduced himself to us, he told us that he had been there for 27 years. With the contract company, all of these things. And then when he pulls me in the office, he's like, yeah, but your position isn't permanent. You're temporary. And I said, yeah, but if anything happens, like I can just go somewhere else. Like I'm not interested. And he got really upset. Like his face and ears turned really, really red. And he was like, no, that's not an option. Like, we just can't have you all here making more than the rest of the people. Like, we just can't do that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not budging on my pay. I'm under contract. Like, my contract is good for 2 years. Like, I'm not going to that pay. And he said, well, you may not have a choice. I'm just getting you prepared. So right then and there, and the way that he yelled at me, because he yelled that at me. Like, he didn't say it like, well, you may not have a choice. He was like crazy, you guys. Like, went from 0 to 100 like that. Like, given very much Jigsaw, very much Jekyll and Hyde. Like, something's not right. And y'all, I got chills and goosebumps. Like, this guy freaked me the fuck out. So when we go to leave that day, me and Agnes are completely quiet all the way until we get on the interstate. And looks over at me, and I didn't want to tell him anything that Ernie had said to me because I didn't want to panic. And he ends up looking over at me and he's like, did Ernie pull you in the office today? And I said, bitch, yes. And he said he pulled me in there too. And this is when I got pissed off because I find myself very, very protective over. And he was like, he pulled me in the office and told me that I would be making $14 an hour and that I had to leave my contract and work for the hospital. And I said, no, you do not. You are in contract with the company. We are being paid by the company. There is a reason why he is wanting us to work for the hospital. So I reach out to my old manager, and she's like in the process of like moving states and all these things. So she wasn't getting back to me. So I decided to call HR because I was not comfortable. I didn't like the way he approached the situation, and I did not like the way he yelled at me. He gave me very weird vibes. And also, while I was training with Chrissy, she was telling me like he is like evil. Like everybody like avoids him at all costs. Nobody likes to talk to him. Nobody likes to have an interaction with him. He only promotes men. The only reason the other girl got promoted is because she had been here for like 25 years. All of this shit. And I'm like, oh my God, like I do not want to work for this guy. Like this is bad. And this is why I say everything happens for a reason. I'm going to tell you guys, there is a true light at the end of this tunnel, at the end of this story. So the next day we come and work, and Ernie's not there. So whatever, I just go on about it. At lunch, the HR lady calls me back, and she's like, I need you to tell me exactly what you were told. And I said, I tell her everything. I tell her that there are no other employees there that are through the contract company, not one, that me are the only two contract employees there, aside from Ernie, the manager. I tell her, oh, I forgot this part. Chrissy had went into Ernie's office on our first day and asked if she could be hired through the contract company. So this like started a riot, because it turned out that all of those other employees were making between $12 and $14 an hour. The $12 an hour rate was like Chrissy. The managers who have to work on call and all of this extra shit were making $14. They started us out at the other hospital that we lost the contract at $17. All of the employees were pissed that we were making more because they paid more at the other hospital. So they were contractually obligated to pay us our pay for however long our contract was, which mine was 3 years. I tell this HR lady everything, and then I tell her that he pulls me in the office and yells at me and tells me that I may have no choice but to work for the hospital and only make $14 an hour. And she was like, okay, so you're telling me that's exactly what he said, you're not adding any extra words? I said, no, like that's what he said. And he didn't only say that to me, he also said that to Magnus. And so then she's like, so there's no other employees with this company at this hospital? And I'm like, no, it's me and Ernie. That's it. So I end up doing some research. I end up contacting an old manager who has worked for this contract company but years ago. And he tells me that the reason why he won't hire anyone through the contract company is because it affects his bonus. And also he would have to pay them more money, which in turn would then make the other employees pissed because they're making so much less than, because our contract company starts out at 17. It doesn't matter what hospital you're at. I found this out. The contract company we worked for starts out at 17. So he would have had to give all of them people raises. And for some reason, he didn't want to do that. And I also found out that he is given a budget to give raises. Matter of fact, he was given the same opportunity that everybody else got when after COVID happened, when they started upping minimum wage and shit around here. He was given the same opportunity to give everybody else the raise and didn't. He was the only one who didn't. Found all this out. I'm pissed. This is the third day, going into the third day. It's a Wednesday. I go and pick up. Everything's fine. We go to the hospital. I'm working on my own this day. And this entire day, I see Ernie 2 times before lunch. The first time I see Ernie, he doesn't say anything to me. The second time I see Ernie, he was like, we're going to be changing your pay today. And I said, no, we're not. And I've called HR. He said, get in my office now. That's exactly how he said it, you guys. Get in my office now. At that point, I had went from Morgan to Monica like that. Monica is my alter ego. She is the personality that I like to call my drug addicted self. I gave no fucks, and I go from 0 to 100 lickety split. In this exact second, I get a text on my phone, and it's and he said, I'm so sorry. And I respond back and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, I just can't do this. I had my mom come get me and I quit. I'm like, okay, something is about to happen in this office. Something happened. So I'm like, tell me every single thing that happened and I need it in text. And so I can see on the iPhone that like the little bubbles, like he's typing. I go into the office with Ernie and he's like, why in the did you call HR? And I said, why did you tell me that my contract was not going to be honored? There was no way to honor my contract because your other employees don't make that much money. How is that my problem? Why did you not give them a raise when all the other hospitals got raises? I was like, I don't have to listen to none of your shit, motherfucker. And this is exactly what I said. And by the way, I had Chris on the phone the entire time because if this motherfucker tried shit, I had Chris recording everything. And I said, just so you know, this is a recorded conversation. You are fucked up. You are the worst manager I've ever met in my life. And you do not talk to people like this. You might have been able to get by with talking to people like this for 25 years, but you're not going to be talking to me like this because I know my rights and I know the labor laws. And I walked out. Then tell me why this motherfucker literally calls my old boss and says, if Morgan doesn't tell me what time she left today, she will not be paid for today. So my boss calls me and is like, what happened? And I said, have you never met this man? And she was like, no, he never came to any of our meetings. He was always like conferenced in on the phone or something, like I've never met him in person. I said, we'll call her Jasmine. Jasmine. He is the weirdest, rudest, craziest motherfucker I've ever has had as a manager. And literally, praise God that I'm sober and I'm trying to be a better human being because I was this fucking close to
junking his ass across that fucking desk when you yelled at me like that.
And she was like, well, here's his phone number, like he's needing to know when you left. I said, Jasmine, I left when I left his office. I left when I left his office. It was right before lunch, literally, because when I passed him the second time, I was on my way to go eat lunch. She was like, what the hell? Why is he like acting like you just walked out and didn't tell nobody? I was like, no. He told me to get in his office right fucking now because I told him that I contacted HR in regards to him telling me that I had to make $14 an hour. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, Jasmine, no one here makes more than $14 an hour except for Ernie, myself, and I said, apparently, so I get the message from, and apparently he was pulled into the office and Ernie actually tried to force him to sign paperwork and said, I have to go to the bathroom, had a panic attack, called his mom and left. Like, that's so fucked up. And they knew that has anxiety and autism and all this shit. Like, that's so fucked up. Pisses me off so bad. I hate this motherfucker. So Jasmine gives me Ernie's phone number. So I text him. I'll include the text here. All the text. I told him exactly when I left. Excuse me, did you bump your head, motherfucker? Like, it was so weird to text him that because, like, are you joking me? And then he texts me back and is like, you need to call me. I don't need to do shit. No, you want me to come back now because you don't have nobody to clean that fucking floor. Well, you should have fucking thought about that before you tried to tell me I was gonna make $14 a fucking hour. Because psych, bitch. You can make 15 at McDonald's in my hometown right now. Are you fucking joking me? Do you think I'm gonna clean up blood and guts and fucking blood splatters all over walls and CCUs and ICUs and COVID positive rooms and fucking measles positive rooms and shingle positive rooms and all this fucking shit for $14 an hour? You can suck my cock. It's not happening. And the reason why I waited to tell all of this story is because I honestly thought this motherfucker wasn't going to pay me. He wasn't going to pay me, but I think because I contacted HR, that was the main reason that I got my pay, was because I contacted HR. So yeah, that is the real reason why I no longer work for the hospital. And honestly, everything happens for a fucking reason, because a job that I couldn't be more excited to do, and I truly do think that this is my calling. I think this is what I was meant to do. I got hired at a drug and alcohol rehab, and I am so excited. I'm not going to share the name of it for obvious reasons, but I'm so fucking excited. I'm going to be a counselor, and I could not be more excited. I start that job on Thursday. It's Monday right now. You guys should be seeing this on Tuesday. I'm so fucking excited. I'm excited to be back here with you guys. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing good. Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you're not a part of my membership program, you need to join it now. I'm going to start uploading a weekly podcast for my members only. So be sure that you are a part of it. It's like $4. It's worth it. Do it. Also, when I come out with merch in December, you guys who are part of my membership program, you guys get first dibs. So do it, dear. Also, be sure that you do subscribe to this channel. Please, 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 please. Let's get to 2,000. Come on, you guys. Subscribe to my channel and follow me on TikTok at The Morgan Shay. It will be linked down in the description box. I love you guys so much. I've missed you guys so much. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Until the next time. Bye.